Welcome to the Local Content Studio, an AI-generated podcast sponsored by newmedialocal.com, an AI-powered digital media agency.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to crack the code on something we've been calling the content consistency crisis. I mean, if you're a consultant, a small business owner, really anyone who knows they should be putting out great content every week, but you just can't keep up.
The time sink is just huge.
Exactly. This deep dive is for you.
It really is the central inefficiency for so many modern businesses. I mean, content drives trust now. It's how you build authority.
It's everything.
But the way we've been told to do it, script, record, edit, post, and then do it all again next week.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for burnout. You're starting from zero every single time.
Right. So our mission today is to lay out a totally different path. We're going to unpack how some pretty sophisticated AI tools are letting businesses multiply their content.
And not just multiply it, but do it by repurposing one single authentic conversation
Into weeks of high-impact material.
We've put together a kind of step-by-step roadmap for this. It's based heavily on the work of Loretta Marie Kimball. She's the founder of New Media Local, and specifically from her article, Repurposing Content with AI.
And it really does change the whole equation, the effort versus reward.
It completely flips it.
So here's the hook. Just imagine recording, say, a focused 20-minute chat. Maybe it's an interview, maybe you're just talking through a client case study.
Okay.
And that one recording, that single recording, becomes an SEO-optimized blog post, a full podcast segment, maybe 3 or 4 different viral video clips, and enough social media posts to keep you visible for 2 weeks.
That leverage is the whole game. That's the change we need to understand. You stop thinking of content as this endless assembly line.
Right.
And you start seeing that one conversation as your core asset. It's the reusable raw material that powers everything else.
Okay, so let's dig into the problem a little more first. The challenge isn't that business owners don't have knowledge.
Oh, not at all. They're sitting on it. If you're talking to clients solving problems, you have the raw material right there.
The problem is the system for getting it out there.
That's what Loretta Kimball points out. The struggle isn't finding something to say. It's finding the 4 hours to write, the 2 hours to edit, the hours to schedule.
Every single week.
Yes. And that bottleneck means consistency is the first thing to go when you get busy. And when consistency goes, your authority stalls.
It's this vicious cycle. You know you need to publish to build credibility, but the mechanics of publishing just crush your motivation.
So we have to stop accepting that friction. This whole idea, this magic of multiplying one conversation, it's about turning that knowledge you already have into a constant stream.
Which brings us to the first and maybe most critical step. You have to create high-quality input.
Absolutely. The content you get out of the AI is only ever as good as what you put in.
I think this is where a lot of people stumble. They try out an AI, they feed it some messy meeting notes or a few scattered thoughts.
And they wonder why the output is so generic.
Yeah. Exactly. So what defines a strong interview that an AI can actually work with?
The key insight here, and this is really foundational, is to plan like you're teaching, not selling.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
AI models, they're trained on narrative, on context, examples, stories. So if you just talk about your product's features, the AI can only spit back marketing copy.
But if you talk differently.
But if you talk about how you learned something, or a story about how a client overcame a struggle, now the AI has a human story to build everything around.
Can you give us a concrete example, like bad input versus good input?
Sure. Bad input would be our CRM has better reporting and integrates with Slack. It's a fact, but it's sterile.
Right. Dead end.
Good input, the kind that becomes months of content, sounds more like this.
Right.
You know, the biggest mistake I see companies make with CRMs is they just trust the automated reports. For instance, last week I realized we almost missed a huge pattern in our sales data because the summary report hid the outliers. Here's how we found it manually.
Ugh, I see it. That second one has a narrative, a mistake, a solution, a lesson.
It's rich material. A blog post, a checklist, a social media tip, it's all in there. That depth is what the AI needs to sound authentic.
So it's about setting yourself up for success from the very beginning.
Precisely. And to do that, Loretta Kimball suggests structuring your interview around a few key guiding questions.
Like what?
Simple stuff like, what's a common mistake people make in my field? Or what advice would I give a beginner that I wish I'd known? Or even, what new trend is actually a trap people should avoid?
Those prompts force you to tell stories.
They extract the reusable insights.
So once you've recorded that amazing 20-minute audio or video, step 2 is more mechanical, right? Turning that gold into a usable format.
Right. Now we're talking about transcription tools, things like Descript or Otter.ai, Whisper, something to turn that audio into clean text.
And this is where the human comes back in, even before the big AI steps.
Yes, this is so important. You have to review that transcript and kind of organize the gold. Don't just dump 5,000 words into a language model.
So you go through and mark it up.
You mark it up. Where are the short, punchy statements? Those are for video clips. Where are the step-by-step explanations? That's the skeleton for your blog post.
So the human is the architect here. You're directing the raw material.
Exactly. That prep work is what ensures the AI gives you unique, platform-specific content later, instead of just the same idea rephrased 10 times. It saves you from your message cannibalizing itself.
Okay, now let's get into where it gets really interesting. We have this clean, organized, high-quality asset. How do we get into the automation phase without losing our voice? Step 3. AI does the heavy lifting.
This is that critical shift from transcription AI to generative AI. You're feeding that organized text into a large language model, but you're pairing it with very, very specific prompts.
It's all in the prompt.
The prompt has to define the topic, sure, but also the platform, the format, and the tone you want.
So let's say I need a 700-word blog post. I want it to hit a keyword, but I don't want it to sound like a machine. What does that prompt look like?
You give it the text, and you combine it with an instruction. Something like, using this transcript, write a 700-word blog on the keyword X. Use H2 subheadings, write a compelling intro and conclusion, and keep the tone conversational, using the speaker's personal anecdote about the outlier data.
That specificity is key.
It minimizes the cleanup work you have to do by like 90%.
That alone saves hours. What about for social media? The needs there are totally different. Speed, brevity.
So the prompt has to pivot. You tell the AI, extract 10 distinct LinkedIn posts from this transcript. Each post needs a one-sentence hook, a call to action, and should only focus on the points made in minutes 5 through 8.
Wow. So you're directing it to a specific mood and argument for a specific platform. That's the real difference between just automating and strategically scaling your content.
And you can do the same for video. Those main ideas you highlighted earlier. You prompt the AI to turn them into bullet point outlines for new fast tip videos. The AI drafts the script, and your team just has to film a quick, targeted clip.
It's fascinating because this workflow gives a small business the kind of consistency that before only a big media agency could achieve.
And it looks, sounds, and feels exactly like you. Why? Because the source material is your own voice, your own wisdom. That consistency is what builds long-term authority.
Okay, but speed and automation, they always come with risks. We have to slow down and talk about the counterbalance. Step 4, which you said is non-negotiable, human oversight.
This is the firewall. It's the essential check. AI drafts are fast, but they are not truth. You have to review every single piece for facts, for phrasing, and for tone.
If you skip this, what happens?
You risk publishing something that's factually wrong, or maybe worse, just completely bland and generic.
I worry about tone drift. That's a term Kimball uses, right? When AI makes you sound, I don't know, overly formal.
Tone drift is very real. AI defaults to textbook language, unless you aggressively tell it not to.
Yeah.
If you skip the human review, it might take a phrase like, we decided to tear that system apart, and change it to, we opted for a complete structural reorganization.
One sounds like a person, the other sounds like a robot.
Exactly. So your job in the review is to blend your real-world phrases back in. Use contractions. Keep your personality. That's what ensures it sounds like a human explaining something useful.
Okay, so once it's polished, then you can scale. Step 5, the repurposing schedule. This is how you turn that efficiency into real authority.
You need a rhythm. The source material suggests using that one interview to fuel a weekly or bi-weekly podcast. The deeper insights become blog posts every 2 weeks.
And the social posts.
Those short, preachy quotes become 3 to 5 targeted social posts every single week. That is massive, steady visibility from one conversation.
And you just have to record a new one every few weeks.
One every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that brings us to step 6, the warnings. That's why you have to keep the source material fresh.
Why is that so vital?
Because if you try to stretch the same 20 minutes of content for 2 months, the AI will start running out of novel ways to phrase the same ideas. You'll sound repetitive. You need fresh fuel for the fire.
The system works because your only job is to show up for the interview.
The leverage does the rest.
Okay, and finally, step 7, expert support. What about the business owner who hears all this, sees the power, but just cannot manage the transcription, the prompting, the editing themselves?
The fastest growing creators, they realize that managing an AI workflow is a skill in itself. So they partner with expert media teams who specialize in this exact system.
So instead of you wrestling with 6 different tools, you just hand over the raw interview.
And you get back publish-ready content, perfectly tailored for every platform. You're essentially outsourcing the implementation of the system.
That allows the owner to just focus on their expertise, their message.
Which is the only thing that actually drives authority in the first place. This whole workflow flips the equation. DIY content creation leads to burnout because it's all about execution. This is about making your insight, your core message, do all the work for you.
So when we boil it all down, what does this all mean for you, the listener?
It means the bottleneck isn't your knowledge. It's not your intention. It's your process. When you adopt a system that treats your authentic conversation as the highest value asset, you start to compound your authority. People see you everywhere, being credible.
Your main job just becomes showing up for that next insightful interview.
That's it.
I love that shift in focus. It's not about the mechanics anymore. It's about the conversation. So given this whole workflow, here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. Just think about your last week of work. How many valuable conversations, client consultations, or even internal discussions did you have? They're probably sitting in your notes or in recorded calls, just waiting to be transcribed, structured, and repurposed. What information are you holding on to right now that you're not extracting the full value from?
That is truly the biggest untapped resource for almost any business today.
We really hope this deep dive helps you unlock some of that hidden value. Thanks for joining us.